challenged me on this. I said, call the White House. You can, and get Jim Baker's office there. In fact, they told me that and sometimes the president lets Baker use the Oval Office desk while the president plays on the rug there. I made that one up, but he really does everything in the office. I think Matt put that in. Matt? Now, oh, by the way, how do I know that Big Oil and the Baker boys did this? Because they told me. And now, which of course they don't remember. In fact, one of the most powerful oil executives in America, a lobbyist, contacted Harper's Magazine, which had run part of our madhouse, in their pages, and he threatened to sue. He had his lawyer on the line as well. Big Oil, they're going to sue Harper's Magazine, and they said, listen, we didn't even speak to Greg Palast. I never even met him. And so Harper said, well, then we'll have to retract the story. Just tell us what part of this audio tape is not you. And the NPR reporter told me, we don't do that at NPR. I said, I know. Of course, what was the content? What was the content? The content was, it says here that the purpose of this 300-page document is to create an oil system in Iraq which would, quote, enhance the government's relationship with OPEC. Now that's kind of interesting, because OPEC is an oil cartel, Baker's client, Saudi Arabia, right? It's controlled by the Saudi Arabian government. Now, to understand the importance of this document, what makes it a little bit odd, by the way, cartels are illegal conspiracies against trade. For anyone to help under the long-arm provisions of the Sherman Antitrust Act, remember this, if anyone who attempts to enhance the operation of a cartel has committed a felony under U.S. law with the help of the U.S. State Department. But what were they trying to do with Iraq's oil? And the first thing you have to know is the rules of oil economics. Rule number one is the lower the supply, the higher the price. Okay? Rule number two of oil economics is the lower the supply, the higher the price. That's all you have to know, right? So this is all about setting up a system to enforce a low production quota on Iraq, okay? Which is capable of producing 6 to 12 million barrels of oil a day, almost as much as Saudi Arabia. But if they did that, that would be the end of $70 a barrel oil. So now, why don't you get that? Because so many of us, me too, marching out there saying, no blood for oil, no blood for oil. Let's not use that line anymore. Most Americans think blood for oil is kind of a bargain, as long as it's not their blood. What we need to do, though, this is not about blood for oil. The ExxonMobil does not send in its exploration arm into Iraq, the 82nd Airborne, to get oil and bring it back and make it cheap. It's to keep that supply low. It was to send in the 82nd Airborne to find the oil and turn off the spigot. That's what it was about, okay? So it's not about blood for oil. It's blood for no oil. And I know many people here think that Bush really screwed up in Iraq. He just really screwed up. When Bill Clinton left office, oil was around $24 a barrel. Today, it's $74 a barrel. Mission accomplished. Don't kid yourself. And by the way, that's why I told Hugo Chavez to get that. I think I should tell you how we got busted, or about this. as was mentioned here, we were just filming the section of the book about Hurricane Katrina. I just went back down to New Orleans for a subversive organization called Democracy Now! And see, because what we had discovered, everyone said, what a lousy evacuation plan. They didn't get those people out. I said, fine, where's the evacuation plan? Now, in my other life, I actually did work on a hurricane evacuation plan for the richest metropolitan area of the United States, Long Island, New York. There was nothing in there about a program to let 1,500 people drown. In the richest area, everyone gets out. Okay? It's a 6-volume plan. Everyone has a copy in all the firehouses and the police stations. I said, so where's this plan for New Orleans? I asked FEMA for the plan. Now, FEMA is part of Homeland Security. They said, we can't tell you. And so then I found out that, unlike other evacuation plans done by government, George Bush had a better idea than having the government plan it. He had a contractor called Innovative Emergency Management. Now we know it was innovative because they'd never done an emergency evacuation plan, but they had lots of experience donating to the Republican Party. So I called them up and I said, where's your plan? They didn't have it, but what was I tried to find out what was in the plan. And I discovered that their plan was, if a hurricane's coming to New Orleans, everyone get in their car and drive like hell. Now, the hurricane, there happen to be hurricane experts in Louisiana at LSU. They have a hurricane studies center, which said, well, we have maps, computer models, and everything about how to get people out of New Orleans. And they were told, mention that again and we'll shut down your center. And mention that we mentioned that, and we'll take away your job. I thought that was worth reporting. Okay? So, not everyone agrees that that's worth reporting. So remember, we're dealing with what is now, what used to be called saving people's lives is now part of the war on terror. So we don't save people's lives, we fight terrorists. Okay, so now, Matt and I went down. Okay, the LSU experts, as it turns out, had mentioned to the innovative emergency managers and told FEMA and told the White House. They specifically made the point that they told the White House before the flood that, by the way, there are 127,000 people in New Orleans without cars. And not all of them float. So I asked Dr. Ivor von Herten what was the effect of not planning for the evacuation of these people. And he said, well, 1,500 of them drowned. But in fact, not all of them drowned. I spoke, for example, to a young man, Stephen Smith. He didn't have a car. He floated over found a mattress and got a grandfather and his kids and floated over to an overpass on Highway 10, where they waited for 4 days in the sun with the helicopters going over. And they did wave to the president when he came, photo strafed New Orleans. And just before the rescue boat came to them on the 4th day, he closed the eyes of the grandfather who had died after he gave his last water bottle to his grandchildren. So we decided to ask Innovative Emergency Management in Baton Rouge about their plan. I wanted to see it. So we went into their offices uninvited and asked to see the plan, and they couldn't find it. They don't know where it is. I said, is it wet? Did it wash away? No one will show me where this plan is to evacuate the city. I said, isn't it a little difficult to evacuate the city if no one has the plan? That's when they called security, Homeland Security. We got out of there and went to see the effects of this evacuation plan. It's been 1 year. 1 year. 80% of the people evacuated are not back. Evacuated implies return. They don't have a right of return. Evacuated means washed away permanently, okay? Remember that Louisiana was a purple state, and that is, they elected a Democratic governor, a Democratic senator. You know which way they're going for the presidential election.